This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. My name is Joe George, here with you on all social media platforms at Joe George Radio. And the Cubs nearly get no hit by Hunter Greene. A phenomenal pitching duel. If that's what you're into, tonight was the night. A 2-hour baseball game where Hunter Greene and Colin Rea were both pitching incredibly well in this game. We'll talk about Colin Rea. We'll talk about how the Cubs nearly got no hit. We'll talk about the rest of the season because, again, not much to really deep dive into in this one. The Cubs just got flat out dominated by Hunter Greene. Seiya Suzuki, the only hit in the game for the Cubs. The most positive thing, and we'll wait because baseball's weird with concussions and things like that and head injuries. They don't always handle things in the way that, like a sport like the NFL does. The good thing about this game is that after Moises Ballesteros got hit in the head by a line drive, or in the helmet, I guess, by a line drive by PCA, that we saw him come back out there for another at-bat. Of all the things that happened in this game, not Colin Rea's career-high 11 strikeouts, not what Hunter Greene did for the Reds. Like, that's the most important thing, I think, from this game, because that was terrifying. Like, you don't see that happen. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, to be honest with you. So, it's hopefully that, Moises being able to get back out there for another at-bat is a sign that he is for sure okay, but definitely a scary moment in tonight's game. Well, I'm just going to chalk this one up, though, to being too hungover. Progressively Independent says they partied too hard yesterday. Yep, it's okay. The boys were hungover, says Caden. They celebrated yesterday. The Cubs are going back to the playoffs for the first time since 2020. The champagne was popping, being sprayed all over the place. This is a hangover game, okay? A lot of times after those celebrations, you don't even see a team throw out a normal lineup. The Cubs did do that today. So I don't want to, look, again, you just got flat out dominated. Hunter Greene can be one of the best pitchers in baseball. Like, you heard it on the broadcast tonight. Like, Wainwright and AJ Przinsky, who, they're right. When he's healthy and he's on, he's touching 100 miles per hour in the ninth inning. It's nearly impossible, it feels like, to see that. Even the best pitchers in baseball typically slow down a little bit, but he was pinpoint left and right. For the Cubs, for the Reds, he was attacking the zone, and the Cubs really just didn't have any answers. Really, the only really competitive at-bats was the Seiya Suzuki double, and then the Michael Busch, pop out in the ninth inning, where it felt like it was going. It felt like it was leaving the yard. It gets to the warning track, and obviously that would have been sweet to see that happen there, to break up, a one-hitter to get your second hit of the game for Michael Busch there, but it just fell a couple feet short. So in the end, this is really just a day where the Cubs got, the Reds got the best of the Chicago Cubs. And now, normally I don't like to do these, but we're going to do it today because of what Colin Rea did. Let's get to our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
So Colin Rea, 7 innings, gives up 4 hits, 1 earned run, 11 strikeouts. Obviously, Colin Rea did enough to get the W today. A career high in strikeouts in this one. And plus, there was opportunities early on. You have runners on with first and second with 1 out in the top of the first inning. He's able to navigate that. When that rocket was hit to Michael Busch for the 3rd out of the inning, I didn't think that we were going to see a great day for Colin Rea, but he really settled in. After giving up the RBI double, he got 11 straight batters, 10 or 11 straight batters in this one. So he was really doing, just like Hunter Greene was, Rea was doing whatever he wanted to, getting the swing and miss with a variety of different pitches. And look, the Reds are a team that, they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're in it, especially with the way the Mets are playing. The Reds are very much alive. And the Cubs, priority right now is securing the 3 seed, the 4 seed at this point, to make sure that the San Diego Padres are going to be coming to Wrigley Field. Not that you don't want to be going to San Diego in the playoffs. So you've got a sizable lead. The Padres lost today, so that feels like the Cubs will be able to secure that at some point. But the Reds are fighting for something. And so as good as Hunter Greene was, again, Colin Rea was fantastic. And when you think about what does this team look like in the postseason as we're watching today unfold, I really think your 3 guys are going to clearly be, Imanaga, Boyd, who hasn't looked super sharp lately, as we saw in the Pittsburgh game yesterday, and Cade Horton in whatever order Craig Counsell throws out there. I know what my order would be. It's probably not what he would have. I would put Cade Horton with the ball in game 1 of a wild card series. Just let the rookie ball like he's been doing. He's been the best pitcher in baseball since the All-Star break, under a 1 ERA since then. But Colin Rea factors in, I think, in a couple of really interesting ways. Your option 1 for him would be when he performs like this, you say, yeah, that's the guy who, you get to the NLDS or the NLCS or even the World Series, like a performance like this says he should get the ball in game 4 of a series. I think most likely that's going to be Jameson Taillon, and Colin Rea is going to be someone that obviously he started off in the bullpen this year. He's had success with openers. So my guess is Colin Rea, even though he was stellar in this one, we'll probably see him make 1, maybe 2 more starts, just depending on how it all shakes out for the Cubs the rest of the year, before in the playoffs he just ends up being your long relief man. But of all the starts that Colin Rea has had this season, this has been by far the best. And he's had some really good performances. He's had some duds, but he's had some really good performances. But the command that he had in this game of his breaking ball, his fastball, all of it, just being able to get the Reds to chase, it was really like a gritty veteran performance, it felt like, where he just had everything working, clearly in a way it never has, because that's a career high in 11 strikeouts. Tracy says here, Ray looking better than Boyd. Yeah, I do agree. Matthew Boyd, it has been a little concerning what we're seeing from Boyd at this point. I don't deny that at all. I think we're seeing a little bit of a drop off from him. Pretty, I guess, little bit even feels nice in a way. It feels like it's been pretty drastic for him, that where he was at the beginning of the season. Hopefully he can just take a deep breath and get this thing going again, because I do think we need the best version of Matthew Boyd for the Cubs to make a legitimate run. It's going to be, you have a 4-0 lead against the Padres in game 2 of a wild card series, and then you spot them 4 runs back immediately in the bottom of the first. Probably not going to go the way that yesterday's game went for the Cubs. So definitely need more out of him. And if it does, that's where Colin Rea really is going to factor in the postseason roster, is coming in. If someone gets beat up early, if someone doesn't have their best stuff, and probably being asked to get some length for the Cubs. I assume it's Ray over a guy like Javier Assad on the postseason roster, because he's a veteran and he's just been up with the big league roster this entire season, unlike Assad. So we'll see exactly how it plays out. But it was a quick one tonight, to say the least. All right, we'll take our break here. We'll get some more of your questions and comments. Plus, we'll get to our turning point of the game and what you'll be talking about after this one for the Cubs, and your questions and comments here in the chat as well. It's all coming up next year on the Locked On Cubs postcast. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine and 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. When I use them, which is probably about once or twice a week at this point. I got a 4-year-old kid. Sometimes he's keeping me up late at night, getting me up super early. Need that boost to get through the day. I love going with the 5-hour energy. Again, like this said, it's super easy to have just with you at all times. I pretty much always have one in my backpack at work. So enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine flavor an upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorite you love, or be bold and try something new in-store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Today's show is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401k properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does all the heavy lifting, and you can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let the financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, let's get to our turning point of today's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Turning point of today's game is when it started because of how good Hunter Greene was. I guess you could say Carson Kelly grounding out with Seiya Suzuki on second base with 2 outs. But again, you only get 1 hit in the game. You really only have that 1 opportunity to score outside of the Michael Busch home run. You just didn't have a chance in this one when Hunter Greene again was as good as he was. And we'll see. Again, I guess I'm giving them some slack here for having a party yesterday, which I don't, I think it's well deserved. It's a little weird still for me. I think the celebrations should be held for later in the postseason, but I do get it where you have only a handful of guys that have experienced something like that. It was cool to hear Kate Horton, talking about it. Very stoic, Kate Horton, during the broadcast today, where this is, these guys, their first opportunity to make the playoffs and get that champagne shower and really, again, get to experience this for the first time was very cool. But I'm pretty sure that's the reason why the Cubs didn't do as well today. Maybe I'm making excuses, but we'll let it last for today. Hudson says here in the chat, hopefully the offense wakes up tomorrow. The offense has not been good. Yeah, look, they are 25th in runs scored since the All-Star break. They're still 7th in all of baseball, which is kind of startling, to be honest with you. Like that, it was so high, and it's been 25th, but they're still hanging on into the top 10 right now. We'll see if they can really get it rolling again. I think there's some really positive signs overall for the Cubs. Obviously Nico Hoerner's been incredible. You have Ian Happ swinging the bat really well. Michael Busch has been swinging the bat much, much better as of late. Seiya Suzuki has put together, in these 2 games, some quality at bats, including the double today. And we'll wait and see for Kyle Tucker. Like at this point, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really expect to see Kyle Tucker again. It's just a gut feeling. I think when a player leaves a team like he did to go to Tampa Bay, and I know he'll be back, at home with the Cubs. He'll be back with the team. But the fact that the Cubs have had to so bluntly say that they can't figure out what's going on with this calf injury. And yes, he flew down there with Cubs personnel to Tampa Bay as well to try to figure it out. I don't have super high confidence in seeing him back anytime soon. James says here, I'm 100% okay if Counsell rests Boyd the rest of the regular season. Give him some rest so he comes back in October rested. They're not going to go to that extreme length, but I like where your head is at, James. We saw the rotation coming up for the upcoming series. Kate Horton, it would be his time through the rotation this weekend. He's not going to pitch this weekend. He's going to pitch early next week. Javier Assad is going to pitch, I believe it is on Sunday for the Cubs. This is where it's the process of getting ready for the playoffs. Like, yes, they need to lock up the 4 spot to host the Padres in the wild card round. I feel confident that they can do that with giving some guys some extra rest. But yeah, Boyd, Kate Horton should get the extra rest they need. Frankly, if I had a preference, the 2 of those guys and Shota, if you can pull it off, would each get 1 more start this season. So have them pitch early next week and then have them take off until the start of the wild card series. I think that's the best approach for the Cubs. It'll be about 7 or 8 days in between 6. I think it's like 6 to 8 days in between starts, depending on how it falls with the wild card schedule. But you just gotta give them the time off to, you don't need to have Kate Horton, especially on the pitch count. Matthew Boyd, who's been on a pitch count at times this season, and Shota, who's had 2 injuries this year. You don't need them to be pitching 2 more times. It's all about setting up your playoff rotation now that you've locked up a spot. And maybe that changes if the Padres catch fire, which feels unlikely at this point because they've been struggling pretty mightily the last couple weeks of the season. They haven't been able to take advantage of when the Cubs weren't playing their best baseball. Instead, they've fallen backwards. So kind of now it's all about just focus on getting ready for the rest of the season. And then with the lineup, it's the same thing, giving guys more off days, using Kevin Alcantara more frequently, using Willie Castro more frequently, letting those guys get out there and really figure it out. One of the guys I would love to see him get some off days again for a little bit would be Matt Shaw, because we've seen him kind of plateau again as a hitter, still playing elite level defense. That's not a surprise at this point, but feels like he's started to swing back in the other direction of struggling. So, the 2 resets he's had this season, the first time he went down to the minors and then when he was just out for a couple of days, to really figure things out, seemed to have worked really positively for him. So that's another one that I would like to see them do that. Let's see. See, Josh says, if Tuck is out a bit, honestly, and definitely, are we cooked in the playoffs, or we just feel confident in this group? I think not having Kyle Tucker would be a shame for the Cubs. I don't think it is the end of the world. It would be a bummer if we don't see him at this point in the postseason. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't feel confident in it. Frankly, Kyle Tucker, for the most part, hasn't been good, for a large portion of this season, pretty much since July. A good stretch before he got hurt again. I don't think they're cooked, specifically because of what we've seen from Moises Ballesteros. I think that, he can not replace Kyle Tucker, but he can be an impactful bat on the lineup. The real question with Kyle Tucker is, or without Kyle Tucker, is Ian Happ and Michael Busch and Seiya Suzuki. Those guys have to elevate their play to a different level if Kyle Tucker is not going to return. And at this point, it's for the Cubs' perspective and for Tucker's perspective, it's just wait and see at this point if we'll see him again this season, or frankly, if we'll ever see him as a member of the Cubs again. And that will lead us right into what you'll be talking about after this game.
This is what you'll be talking about.
The other thing I want to talk about that I think we all should be talking about after this one is a very positive development. This is premature a little bit. I'm going to fully acknowledge that before I even say it. Really like what we're seeing out of Soroka. And I don't want to give Jed Hoyer a pass. We're not doing that for the deadline and saying this is a home run acquisition. But I've really liked what we've seen from Soroka since he has returned. It does look like you can bring him out there and rely on him in the playoffs early on. Also, same thing, like we just talked about with Colin Rea being a guy that can give you some length in the bullpen. Soroka can do that as well. Obviously, it started that one game for the Cubs before he got hurt, but he's been in and out of the rotation. So you can use him as well. And I think that just adds to what the Cubs, can do in the playoffs. So that to me is the other positive development from this game. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. As soon as game 2 of this series ends, we'll be live here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Remember, Matt and Sam will have their normal Locked On Cubs show coming up here a little bit later tonight. So remember, hit that subscribe button right here on YouTube, plus anywhere you find your podcast on Apple and Spotify. We will talk to you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one. Peace.